Welcome, spooks and spirits, ghouls and ghosts. Take a seat around the campfire. But beware, this podcast is haunted.
Good afternoon, Jen.
Good summer hiatus, Kate.
That's right.
That's right, we're breaking into the summer hiatus with this very special episode. That's right, we have Sean and Sinead Persad of the Shipwreck Comedy Crew. They are writers and actors and they multi-talented people. Shipwreck Comedy, if you haven't heard of it, they have produced such projects as Edgar Allan Poe's Murder Mystery Dinner Party, The Case of the Gilded Lily, American Whoopee, Kissing in the Rain, A Crypt Miss Carol, A Telltale Vlog, and Little Women. That's right. It does the two V's like the witch. That's me implying the spelling. Anyway, welcome to the show.
We are so glad you guys could be here. Thank you for taking time out of your afternoon to be here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So you are a brother and sister pair, not married, brother and sister. So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourselves, how you got started doing this, what's it like working with your sibling, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
Start in 1990 something, and we were small. Yeah, Sean and I have been making things together since we were kids. I believe Sherlock Sinead was our first project on a VHS cam, where we would film short videos of me solving crimes for my Beanie Babies, and Sean would, edit them in camera editing and do credits for them.
well, and they are worth nothing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Beanie Babies
Beanie
and
Babies,
the films.
yeah.
Disagree.
Heartily disagree on all fronts.
And then Sean ended up, you went to, we've always been very artsy growing up. Sean ended up going to school for pre-med because our dad is Indian and he assumes you are going to go to school for pre-med.
Yep.
And and that was not what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it was rough. I hated it.
Yeah.
And then but I broke him, I guess, because you then went to school. You went to Tisch.
I got to go to Tisch for TV production because my dad was like, all right, I guess it doesn't work to force your children to do things. So you can go to art school.
That's youngest sibling energy and I appreciate it.
And so Sean ended up moving to LA to become an actor. And then after NYU, I moved out and met him out here and I wanted to be a writer. And I had a bunch of sketches and ideas left over from NYU. And so Sean and I kind of came together and decided to produce one. It was a short sketch about Edgar Allan Poe buying Girl Scout cookies. It is like 2 minutes long. And from there, we just kind of were like, this is fun.
So you joined him out in California. You guys started creating, you did a short together. And then how did things escalate from there?
Well, it was that time of the internet where I believe Lizzie Bennet Diaries was on. Literary web series was like starting to become a thing.
Yeah. There were like the world of YouTube and VidCon was like very exciting, and it was still like a sort of a Wild West where anybody could break in and do stuff that became a thing. Right now it kind of seems like it's sort of I don't know how to describe it now, but back then it was just like
it's trending out, but it was trending in then. And so we took the Edgar Allan Poe idea and try to expound upon that and make it like a really short literary vlog series, just to sort of get in the door that way. And from there we were kind of like, well, we want to set ourselves apart. We like doing literary and historical things because of like our upbringing, and that's just kind of our interests. But we also really wanted to make like high quality stuff. So it made it a lot harder because we were like, I personally speaking, don't think I'm funny enough to do this sort of like TikTok in my house and I'm just hilarious and I'm a character. And there's so many people who are amazing at that. And I follow all of them on TikTok.
Yes.
But for me, I was like, no, it needs to be produced. It needs to be character driven. It needs to look good in order to set us apart. So
Some
I
people
think-
benefit from the editing process, and
Mhm.
some
Uh-huh.
people are just better raw, and that's
Yeah.
all there is to it. And they're like Irma Bombeck used to. She was a. I'm sure you're
I
familiar.
have no idea who this is.
Yeah, this was for you. So Irma Bombeck was a comedic writer. She did a couple books about life in the suburbs in the 60s, and she was sort of like imagine if Joan Rivers were a housewife, and like that's it.
Okay.
She was like acerbic and funny, but also very insightful.
Okay.
So she did really well on paper, but she also became a host of Good Morning America in the 70s. And I've watched old clips of her because I really admired her writing. She was one of the few authors that my grandmother had in her house. And so when you're stuck at grandma's and there's only Kids Nickelodeon on and you're tired, you sit down and start reading books that you have no business reading. And so I got addicted to Irma Bombeck in like second grade. And so
weird.
anyways,
So weird.
she always was just not as funny when I looked her up on like YouTube clips later. Her interviews were not gut busting hilarious like her books were. And I brought it to my dad, and he said that she benefited from editors. Some people just need a little more polish to give their best selves, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like not wanting to be published is not a problem.
Yeah.
I also think it's also a matter of time. Like I could, or you could do a TikTok, or I could do a TikTok and be great, and then all of a sudden, because of the TikTok economy, you have to do another one the next day.
Oh my
And I don't want to do anything that often. So
No.
this sort of suits us, where we're like, we spend a
Yeah.
lot of time developing and then producing.
yeah, one project a year would be like ideal for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. TikTok exhausts me. Like I love scrolling through it, but I cannot imagine the pressure you must feel to like constantly produce. But yeah, so tell us about well, actually, we'll go into it in more detail. But so the reason you guys are here is because you are kickstarting another project about the Headless Horseman legend, right? So why don't you tell us about that, and then kind of go into, like what is your methods and process for doing these kinds of projects?
Well, I guess to backtrack a little to something Sinead mentioned before, we were raised in a suburb of Boston, Marblehead, which is right next to Salem, which is
Love
pretty
it.
famous
Mhm.
for being spooky. And we both worked in Salem at a couple of the museums for a family that owned a bunch of museums.
Yeah.
And so growing up there, we just got into really spooky stuff, like the paranormal. The Halloween was our favorite
Mhm.
holiday growing up. So stories like the Legend of Sleepy Hollow just sort of resonated with us from a very young age. So that's kind of how you want to talk about your fanfic days
yeah.
also?
And I, as a teenager, was a huge purveyor of fan fiction.
Incredible.
Are
Loved-
we best friends?
Yeah,
Did we become
probably.
best friends?
Probably
This is-
friends on fanfiction, fanfic.net. And I was such a little nerd, and I just, had candles everywhere in my room and was always doing spells and writing fan fiction for like the Phantom of the Opera and Pride and Prejudice and Sleepy Hollow. So I was a huge
Yes.
Tim Burton fan.
Oh my God, yeah.
Fuck, I love you so much. This is
Nobody did when I was 14.
You know what? I would have.
If we were in the same city.
Right. Had we been together, we would have been BFFs forever.
Yeah.
And it would have been, I would have written in your yearbook, stay cool, and you would have, because you're still awesome.
Yeah.
I am still the same person I was when I was 14, which is neither here nor there, but I loved Tim Burton and I loved his Sleepy Hollow movie. And I, from a young age, was like, but what if it was a comedy though? What if the Headless Horseman was just a chill guy, just trying to live his life without a head? And that was fun. So I wrote a really bad fan fiction about that and many other things under many pseudonyms on fan.
Can we find this fan fiction on the internet?
You might be, if somebody did find one of my names.
Oh,
already,
really?
Yeah, they did. And I never responded to them. They were like, is this you? And I was like, we will not be talking
I
about
will
this.
neither confirm nor deny.
Silence.
Oh, I love a good fan fiction.
So we've done, we did Edgar Allan Poe's Murder Mystery Dinner Party. We did Little Women. We did lots of things that are in the public domain. And so a couple of years ago, Sean and I were doing a project where we had to go and spend some time in San Diego. It was like an immersive theater thing at Comic-Con, and we had a day off, and we were just hanging out. We went to Coronado. We're big Veronica Mars fans, so we did like the rounds at all the sets for Veronica Mars. And then we found ourselves on the beach with a margarita, and we were like, what's our next show going to be? And we were tossing around this idea of doing like a comedy Sleepy Hollow sitcom.
Yeah, it started off like a sitcom. It was also kind of funny because the beach margarita summer in San Diego vibes were the complete opposite of what we were trying to come up with. And then as things happened with us, it got more complicated, and we just kept introducing more wrinkles. Like, well, what if there's a mystery, and what if they're trying to find the head, and like, what if this character's in it, and what if we bring in another Washington Irving story, and sort of try to tie it all together. And then we got, by the end of that hang, I guess that super chill hang, we got super excited, and like in a way that I hadn't been in a while about a big project. So
yeah,
very cool,
very exciting. I'm sorry, I'm just like so jazzed about this project. You actually, in your promotional material for your Kickstarter, which we will post, I backed it last night, and I was so excited because you hit on a lot of my favorite aesthetic things. For example, you reference my favorite show and one of our favorite listeners' favorite shows, Pushing Daisies.
Oh, yeah.
Best show, in my humble opinion. It's not humble. I really mean this.
Fantastic.
It was the best show ever made. The production quality was astounding. And then the reason that I backed at the Bell Witch level is because that's the first level where you get an Abigail Larson print.
Yes, you did the right thing. It's the best.
Oh my God, I love her so much. I have a bunch of her prints. I've actually, like, my husband has once again tried to cut me off from buying things. So anyways, yeah, it's a really exciting project. A lot of the aesthetics that you guys are purchasing into, what's the phrase I want? Shut up, you know what I mean. A lot of the aesthetic touch pieces that you reference are so cherished by a lot of our listeners. Would you like to talk a little bit more about some of those inspirational pieces and what you want to draw from each one?
Sure. Yeah. Well, like the Pushing Daisies aspect, for instance, our show, we are keeping some of the like episodic sitcom elements of that, which is like in every episode of Pushing Daisies, he like can touch someone and bring them back to life, and then we find out how they died. So in this version of Sleepy Hollow, every episode, the Headless Horseman is going to like try on a new head in their journey to find their head.
Oh, how many loose heads are just laying around here?
Well, it's Sleepy Hollow, so a lot.
I guess so, yeah.
So yeah, anytime he puts on a head, he becomes whoever that person was in life. And the characters do this so that they'll, so that they can have a character who will help them. But this new character often ends up throwing a wrench into everybody's plans. So that was a fun way to that was a very Pushing Daisies sort of whimsical twist that it just reminded us of like Pushing Daisies, of iZombie, that kind of thing, where there's like almost like a new character and like a whole new series of unfortunate events. Whoa, what a segue.
What?
Wow.
So a series of unfortunate events was like so epic to me growing up, because I've always been like fascinated by children's horror and just like the idea that children can be scared and deal with it. I was a huge Goosebumps kid, and I mean, series of unfortunate events is just so smart for like, and just trusting kids to be like, all right, people die and it's spooky and it's weird and it's gonna be an orphan. I don't know. And I think we're taking a lot of aesthetic cues for our show. We want the world to kind of look like that, almost like it is modern, but we kind of want it to have like that Victorian sort of essence to it, like dark, spooky, foggy. We just like mixing that with really funny stuff.
And it's also got it does something where it sort of mashes up a lot of different tones. It's very whimsical and spooky and a little disturbing. And it has a fun narrator, and
Yeah.
we like that aspect of it too. So I guess we're just sort of like picking all these things that we like
Yeah.
from things that we like. And
And then
Absolutely.
we also love, I think we mentioned Schitt's Creek in the Kickstarter video. And
Yes.
not only that, but like I rewatched all of Parks. My boyfriend had never seen it, so we just finished it. And what we love about those comedies in particular is that it's funny and it starts off irreverent and you're like, these people are mean, and that's funny because they're just mean. But then it turns out it's about heart and it's about making connections. And in the end, we are softies. And although we like spooky murder, we want everyone to love each other.
Sure.
I was actually going to comment that your sweater is very David Rose. I think he would love it.
Oh yeah.
For those of us who are listening to this, which is everybody,
This is an audio medium.
she's wearing a shirt. It's black and white with a really cute little bow detail at the neck, and it's covered in bats.
Bats.
I love it.
So cute.
Be still my pastel goth heart. All right, so we have a couple more questions in our
mean,
phone that we put away.
We panicked, thought of a lot of questions. But I was really interested in how you do kind of mix so many different tones and different stories, and in this you're taking a very old American legend and bringing it to modern day, and making things funny that weren't originally supposed to be funny. Like what is that like? How do you find that tone between like the spooky and the funny and mixing all those together?
A lot of it is just guessing.
Yeah.
Like we wrote a full-length pilot version of this that we hope to one day, be a show on.
It will be.
Netflix or something. And we read it with a group of friends and we were just like, hope this works. Because what we're doing is, I'm not like, oh wow, we're such mavericks in the world of TV, but it is niche and weird, and we hope that it works. And so far it has. So far we found our little internet audience that likes it.
And we don't go into things thinking like, well, here's the math of how to mash this genre up with this and make it make sense. It's just sort of like, I don't know, like a lifetime of watching other things that we like that do this, like all the way, like when we would watch Looney Tunes and they did it, and they would do like a weird horror movie parody, but with Bugs Bunny. I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just sort of, so you experience something so much that it's sort of just in you, and then you just put it out into the world. And also we have a great team that's helping us. Our director, Joe Stribling, is like, well, as soon as we met with him to direct Poe Party, he felt it and we felt it. Like we just got each other. Like he understood, he was on our page from the beginning. And just everybody who shows up, our cast, most of our cast are people that we've known. We've been out here for a long time, and we know so many talented people that should all absolutely be series regulars on shows, and it's not, and it's a crime. So we were like, we get to cast these incredibly talented people, and they kind of are on our wavelength. So it's a lot about that. So it's a lot about putting together a team that's like has the same vision.
Yeah, it's been very fun to kind of watch from series to series that you guys do and different projects to kind of like start to recognize the actors and be like, oh, that's okay. It's very kind of Shakespearean to have like a company of people. And then
well, that's fun.
Yeah.
I think it speaks very well of you personally, that not only do you work with the same people again and again. I'm a project coordinator, and I'll tell you, there are some people who I would not put them I would not trust them to put a flyer together. So when you work with the same people, that's a high level of communication. It's a high level of joy that you're bringing to the work. And a lot of workplaces don't have that. So you guys are really lucky, but it speaks well of you personally too. What also speaks very well personally of you, I went on a deep dive for information, getting prepared last night.
There's a fine line between doing your homework and then just being a total creep.
Listen,
it's great.
And we walk that line very delicately.
I don't. I smashed right on through. So I was watching some of your old Kickstarter funding videos, and it was so fun. After a while, first you're very immersed in like the room with the couch and the pork candy, I don't know what I'm pretty sure that's what they were saying.
What?
There was this
You look
dish.
confused.
They had created a charcuterie board for the first
Oh, for the live stream.
for the live stream. Candy pork. I have no idea what this is. It was slightly blurry in the picture, and so you get adjusted to what's going on in the picture as people like move around and do things and put names on the wall. And then I started really paying attention.
Yeah.
I started really paying attention to what your fans were saying,
Mhm.
and as people were contributing to the Kickstarter, if they increased, they would go on the wall.
Oh.
And there was so much engagement from people who knew you. Can you tell us about what it was like to build that kind of fan base and sort of who your greatest supporters have been?
Yeah. Well, first off, the quality will be better going forward because we upgraded our internet. So you'll
That
be
was
able
a
to
problem
see
right away.
better. Our fans are incredible. Periodically I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just realize like how lucky we are. They are so smart and so engaged, and I love interacting with them, and I love being able to do stuff and throw in Easter eggs and know that they're gonna pick up on. That's it's so rewarding to do this and know you're not doing it out into a void, that there are people watching and people who appreciate it. And we've sort of cultivated that since the beginning, unknowingly probably, because when we started, we were tapping into that literary web series fandom.
That's what happens when you are going for a niche of like literary historical nerd girls. You're gonna get people like me at age 14 who are like, this is my life now.
Oh my God. I feel like you picked the exact kind of cross section or like niche interest of like very obsessive, like I'm gonna go all in on this one thing.
And it's also terrifying because everybody's so great, and we have a Discord, and we chat with our patrons, and we have such lovely discussions during the live streams. And if we were ever to like become successful, in a monetary way, an easy way, we are so successful. And Renee so successful. We get to do what we love. But
I know what you mean.
You know, the scary people are going to come out. The people who you can't please. The people who this is not for, and that's a little scary.
Yeah, it's intimidating. So we've only had small tastes of that with our small podcast, and it's been enough that we don't necessarily want to get bigger. Like, what if we stay exactly where we are with all the nerds at the band camp?
No one else can start listening to this.
That's right.
Just kidding.
I think there is a point where you just kind of have to be like, okay, I'm turning that part off. I'm not going to pay that much attention to it. But then you lose out on all the great people who really are super decent and love what you're doing. And there was one thing when we did Poe Party, our first big series, we filmed an epilogue because it was a stretch goal and we reached it. So we shot a little epilogue for the show. And then we decided to do an online sort of scavenger hunt for our fans, for them to unlock the epilogue early. And so we set up clues. We used like past videos. We went in and we played with the captioning on videos so that they have to like
cipher.
Yeah. And then it blew up. People loved it. And they were so smart. Like, we were worried that we made it too hard, and they blew us away. They figured it out, and it was so fun.
That's incredible.
Can I tell you, I'm having such a Ron Swanson reaction. I'm like, there's a puzzle to do.
And I'm going, you're going for the Taylor Swift approach of like, let's just capitalize random
and that's
letters.
The difference between Jen and I. That is so exciting. What a fantastic stretch goal. I was so impressed with your Kickstarter and the levels that you offered. There was so much buy-in and things that I was really interested in. I love the pins for like bronze babes and stuff. Sorry, I went deep.
You're going all in on, I was really excited. Please, this is the point of this.
Right. This Kickstarter, like, I'm always really nervous about Kickstarters because I have funded them before and they didn't meet their goal, and then you're just kind of out of pocket. And
This is
I
not
love a
that
sure
thing.
thing,
Yeah.
and you guys are a sure thing. I genuinely would encourage everybody who's listening to this to fund this Kickstarter, whatever level you're comfortable
Go to
with.
Kickstarter, fund it, make Kate's money worth it.
It's true. Well, my money's going to be worth it regardless. But if for no other reason than because Dan told me not to, and I did it anyway. A little, haha.
Yeah.
No. So it's going to be so fantastic. These levels are really fantastic. The level that I did come with that Abigail Larson print. She's my favorite artist, hands down. Are you familiar with her work? She's up in my library.
I'm not, because again, I am
Less
the
of a nerd
idiot
than
in
me.
the room that doesn't know.
No, it's all right. It just means that you probably like went to parties with alcohol in high school.
Oh, I assure you, I did not.
Neither did I.
Nope, not here either.
You know what's really funny? I totally did. I used to
was
deal drugs.
Yeah, you were the cool kid. I was at home watching Lord of the Rings
Yeah, same.
Yep,
I was in my friend's
and
basement.
Sleepy Hollow.
He listened to some NPR and then would turn on some BBC Pride and Prejudice. Colin and
Absolutely.
Ooh,
Sounds like a great party.
that is actually exactly the kind of parties we throw here.
I'm a caricature of myself at this point. So.
Well, speaking of caricatures, who was your favorite character to write? Did you like connect or put yourself into any of these characters as you were writing?
For Headless?
For Headless?
For Headless, yes.
Oh boy.
Or actually for any of them. We're here to talk about
yeah,
you.
you know.
Man, who is my favorite? There's just so many. We've been having a lot of fun putting a different spin on Brom Bones, who's usually like the antagonist of Sleepy Hollow. We've made him like a super woke bro who's like trying to do the right thing, but maybe he
He's a
gets
himbo?
Himbo.
Yeah.
I love a himbo.
Oh, that's so good.
He's fully in that mode of like, he's a frat guy, but then he catches himself and he's
Yeah.
like, wait,
Whoa,
that's
whoa.
not what my book said.
Women aren't property. We
Yeah.
can't. You can't.
You can't say that
Yeah.
anymore. He's so fun. And I think people are going to love him. And I'm really excited
Yeah.
about his arc over the show.
It's played by our dear friend Gabe Greenspan, who we wrote the role for, and it cannot be played by anybody else.
We told Gabe, like, we're filming in September and we've cast the show, and there's going to be scheduling problems that arise, and we'll roll with the punches. We may have to recast, it happens. But if something happens with Gabe, then the show, like, we just postpone
move
the
the
entire show. Like, we cannot recast that
It
part.
just doesn't go further.
So he's not allowed to get any cool projects that, you know,
More
not
importantly,
allowed.
he's not allowed to get COVID.
right.
Delta variant is not a joke. Everybody get vaccinated.
Don't bring it down, Kate.
I'm not bringing it down. I'm being very serious about a global pandemic. So harkening back to another project that you had, the Poe murder mystery. We love a
Which
murder
fully,
mystery.
that's the one I was like, I watched it. I feel like I watched it as it came out, but I was just not like, I'm not great at puzzles. So I was not figuring it out with the rest of the fans,
That's
but
okay.
I loved it.
Nobody's gonna judge you for that.
Everyone go to YouTube, watch it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's fine. I like to watch mysteries that way sometimes too, where I'm just like, I'm here for the ride. I
I'm
don't need
just
to
here.
figure it out.
I'm just here to enjoy it. I'm not here to guess what happens next.
Also, I think I rewatched one of the later episodes recently, or I didn't rewatch it. I think Mary Kay was rewatching it, and I just like walked by and I was like, what is going on? I had no clue.
Oh, that's incredible.
That is fantastic. So for that, you included a bunch of different authors. How did you pick and choose who would go in and who would not?
Yeah. How did we?
How did
we
we?
had a lot more, and we ended up cutting some. Basically, we ended up trying to choose people who would be great foils for Edgar Allan Poe, who were different enough. Like Nathaniel Hawthorne didn't make the cut because he's too similar.
Yeah.
He's probably a little less emo, but it would have just been kind of a similar vibe.
Right.
Somebody who we thought with like a persona as an author that we could really caricature and make really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, like, so at first it was like, well, clearly Ernest Hemingway is going to be in this. Oscar Wilde is going to be in this. And then we had a much bigger group. And then after a while, we were like, okay, but the plot, like, how does that affect this? And then we realized, oh, these characters here are superfluous. We don't need Henry David Thoreau, James Joyce. We don't need him. And then it just sort of became, it took a while
Yeah.
to find, but we got
See, and
there.
once again, there's the power of editing
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
you turned out a really fantastic product.
That was good.
Thank
Yeah.
Jen, do you want to take a few of the questions that you came up with?
Oh.
Jen is a much better interviewer than me, but I never give her any chance to talk.
No, that's okay. Speaking of like writing different characters, as some people may know who are listening, you also act in these projects.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
oh right.
Oh yeah, that's us. Sure.
I mean, yeah, a perfect emo Edgar Allan Poe. It was fantastic. So when you're writing these projects, do you kind of have in mind already who you personally want to play? Have there been any particular favorites of yours?
Yeah, so far that's how it's worked out.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure that's always how it'll work out,
Yeah.
but
I think the only thing we didn't write characters for ourselves for was Little of a Women. We wrote that, and then we were like, who wants to be who?
yeah.
I don't know.
And then as far as favorites, like, yeah, I mean, Edgar Allan Poe is so fun to perform. He's very insecure and is constantly trying to pretend he's a lot cooler than he is, but is constantly being cut down by everything and everyone, and trying to let it not be bothered, trying to show that he's not bothered by it, and failing. And I love characters like that, and I feel like I've been doing some version of that my whole career. And it's almost unhealthy to keep playing him at this point, because it's like I don't want to get too
easy.
comfortable. Yeah, it's like a bag of tricks, and I want to move away from it. But we just did a thing as Poe and Lenore for the Historic House Trust Gala, the Historic House Trust of New York City.
Wow.
We hosted their annual gala, which was virtual this year, and we did it in character as Poe and Lenore. And it's been years since we've done Poe and Lenore, and it was just like so easy to get back into
we wrote
it.
the script in like a day, and we were just like, cool, we'll just film it, and we're these
Just step
characters
into
now. And
these.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's amazing. That also, that is the coolest job I've ever heard of. We are, well, especially me, I love a historic house.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, of course.
Don't cut me out of this.
No, I'm sorry. What I meant was, if you're ever on my Facebook, it's basically just
but
houses,
you go for
socialist
the like
propaganda,
Zillow
and, like,
properties.
Well, Zillow properties, and I'll do the historic ones too. But yeah,
I want me a haunted ass house. That's what I
Same.
go for.
Some of these
for it.
houses
Same.
definitely haunted.
Yeah, but I mean, Poe, I think, lends himself so much to just an awkward comedy. Like, it's surprising, honestly, that it's not done more in that tone.
Yeah, I agree, because he takes himself so seriously, and there's nothing funnier.
It's really, yeah, it was
everybody
perfect.
else is just like, no.
I
No.
know. I feel
Calm
like
down, sir.
every other adaptation of Poe just ends up with him being like, I don't know. I'm just, all I can think of is a John Cusack one, and he was
Oh my
just like
gosh, yeah.
so serious.
Yeah.
But this was also a guy who wrote a murder story about a gorilla
Yeah.
like killing people.
He's just a
Yeah.
Nemo guy, just trying to make it through in the world.
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And
That'd
it's
be
and
nice
it
to him.
takes itself so seriously. And I
Yeah.
love the idea that like he's never getting the reaction he wants in our world.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so celebrated.
it's brilliant. Okay, so should we pivot back to your Headless Horseman project?
Yes,
Do we have
please.
any? I feel like I'm running out of questions.
All right,
but-
I have a nerdy question.
Okay, go for it.
I want to talk a little bit about the framework of the story, because you guys have included something that a lot of people who've interpreted the Sleepy Hollow tale don't do. So some of my, like, a lot of us are familiar with, for example, the Disney story, the Disney cartoon of Ichabod Crane,
Mm-hmm.
which borrows a little bit from Wind in the Willows. A lot more people are probably familiar with the Tim Burton Johnny Depp.
Hell yeah.
What was that? 1990 something?
Yeah.
99, I think. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And then more recently on CBS, I believe, there was a Sleepy Hollow
Oh, the
adaptation.
TV show. I completely forgot.
The first season was really dope. I will say that. So we have all of these iterations, and they all take Sleepy Hollow as a standalone project. But the original novel, which was actually, I believe, published as installments, 1819, 1820, is within the framework of Gentleman Crayon. His first name is Giles. Jeffrey Crayon. And so he's like writing about this like specific place in upstate New York,
Yeah.
where all of these stories and folklore are coming from.
This is objectively a very spooky place. I can attest.
Yes. And so you guys are one of the first people to include him as a character in the adaptations I'm familiar with. What brought him into your story?
I I think it's like you said, like we've never seen anybody do this before. And we also neither of us watched the
I watched the pilot.
the show.
The
I
show
think I
pilot.
watched the pilot too. And then we went through the Wikipedia just to make sure we weren't encroaching on anything.
We
And
are.
no, we aren't.
Don't rip them off.
No, it's very different. I can already tell you that.
But
Different.
I found it very funny that Washington Irving used so many pen names. He just kept inventing like, ooh, this character, this narrator is going to tell me a story. And
Yeah.
after a while, it's like, man, just write
We
this
know who
down.
We
you
know it's you.
are.
Yeah.
We also have a bard, Deirdre Knickerbocker, who is another one of the
Mhm.
narrators in Washington Irving's world, and played by John Cozart, who's so incredibly talented musician. He's in our Kickstarter video.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm sorry. You guys will all be excited about this because all of you are vintage internet users like me. If you remember back in the early 2010s, there was a gentleman.
Early 2010. Okay.
Dude, that
It's
was
not that
11
vintage.
years ago.
Okay.
Listen, time moves fast. There's
Yeah.
been a pandemic.
Okay.
Anyway, if you remember back, there were videos where he sang and he told the stories of the Disney princesses after the wedding, and they went super viral.
Yeah,
That's who that is.
Yeah.
it's our
Oh,
boy.
Please.
Wow.
Get hyped as soon as like
Incredible.
his face is the first thing on the screen in the
Mhm.
Kickstarter
Yeah.
promotion. I was like, fuck
Know your core audience.
like good. This is touching on my shit. I
Yeah.
gotta stop touching this table. This is touching on my Disney adult like terrible habits. I know. I'm sorry.
It's
And
okay.
I'm not supposed to be a Disney adult, but I am.
Oh, we're
Oh, it's
Disney
fine. Yeah,
adults,
we're
too.
Disney adults.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
When you said you were going to Anaheim earlier, I was like, what did you say?
I love Disney.
It
too.
We were
wasn't-
Disneyland annual pass holders until
Uh-huh.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Beautiful.
no longer, but
It'll
Yeah.
come back.
Mhm.
The world will start again.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, John Cozart plays Deirdre Knickerbocker, and he will be kind of like a traveling bard who will be sort of our framework for the
Mhm.
show. He was kind of inspired by that little bard in Gilmore Girls, who's just kind of always there. and
Yeah.
the
busy.
busker.
Yeah, the busker, but I think he'll be helpful
good?
too.
Oh, yeah,
No,
helpful,
no.
yeah.
Both of them were good. I think he'll be helpful to like push moving along the story and recapping and doing all that sort of
I
stuff.
think, yeah, we knew we wanted that kind of character. And then we realized, oh, the story already, we're not inventing anything because
Mhm.
the story already has that framework of
Yeah.
like, here's a narrator who's telling you the story. And
Yeah.
then that's within a larger framework of like
Mhm.
this other guy who we are borrowing his name, Jeffrey Crayon. He doesn't have the same sort of, we don't use him the same way as Washington Irving did. We
Mhm.
just kind of took his name, but Diedrich Knickerbocker, we're definitely
Yeah.
using.
And we've got some Rip Van Winkle in there as
Yeah.
well. We're
That's
doing
right,
the
yeah.
whole
Have to.
world.
You got
You
it.
gotta. I'm so excited about this project. I'm so jazzed, and I'm so flattered that you guys wanted to talk to us about it at all because it's
Yeah.
exactly the sort of thing that we love.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing that I like didn't even think of it myself. Where I was just like, oh, of course, like we're like making fun of shit, like comedy, but also history and like spooky stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's like just what we
Ideal.
love. And I love as you're describing like all your different like references that you're making. It's just basically like, so you took everything that you love and put it in a blender and it turns out great. Like it's fantastic.
Isn't that exactly what salsa is? Like
Yeah.
you just take everything that's delicious and you throw it in there and you eat it with chips,
Exactly.
and that's amazing.
We want to be the salsa of the
The
internet.
spooky
That's
Honestly, I think you're there. I
That's
think you're
spooky
there
sauce.
already. But the opening promotional video got me so excited. The comedy and the pacing, like he pulls a coin out from his ear and then he tips a hat and all the coins fall out. It was just so clever and so zippy.
Mhm,
Please, everybody, go check out this Kickstarter.
mhm.
Get with me on this plan to fund this project because it's well worth our time.
Mhm.
Closing thoughts? Should we? I don't want to take up anybody's time too
No,
much.
no, I think we're good. So your Kickstarter runs through the 18th, so you got to
Mhm.
act very fast.
Yeah, this is not for play. Let's all move.
July 18th. And then the production process, you're filming in September and then
That's the plan right now. Yeah, things could
Mhm.
change, but right now we have some soft holds on various locations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once the Kickstarter ends, there's some time before the money clears, and then we can start putting down deposits, and then everything
Mhm.
becomes very real.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we're excited to get this out because we were supposed to launch this Kickstarter last March. So we
What happened then?
Nothing. We were just real
yeah,
lazy.
we just got really busy with other stuff, and
Right.
so we've been sitting on this for so long,
Mhm.
and we're so excited to actually make it and get it out there.
It's exciting to have things happening again. So yeah, everyone check it out. We'll put links to things in the description, and we'll plug it on our social media. Are there any other specific things you want to plug? Your personal social medias, anything?
What even am I?
Are you Sinead Persuade?
Yeah, I
Or
think
is-
I'm.
I'm not
I'm
sure if you
yeah,
are.
but it's fine.
Yeah.
Twitter's fine. I'm just at Sinead Prasad on Twitter.
And
Try and spell that.
I'm at Sean Prasad MD on Twitter and Instagram because I wanted to make my dad proud somehow. So
You got it. You got that,
him.
MD.
I actually I gave up. I gave up. Museums did not work out for me a couple years ago. I can't get rid of the handle though. I'm still
Yeah.
Museum Kate at Museum
Oh, yeah?
Kate. Yeah, can't do it.
Mhm.
So I get away with it by just being like, oh, I'm lazy. I'll get
Mhm.
around to changing it someday.
It's fine.
I'm never gonna
Yeah.
change it to software, Kate.
Good
That's so dull.
No.
Ugh.
So check them out. Check out the Kickstarter. Check out their other projects. We'll put links to all those in the description, and as well as links to find us. You know where we are. But thank you, Sean and Sinead, so much for coming on our show, and we had such a lovely time chatting with you. And
Gosh, I'm excited about having
made
this.
my
I really
summer.
am. I'm so jazzed about this project. You guys have no idea.
All right.
aw, thank you.
So-
Thank you for having us too. This
Yeah,
has been
it's
really
been
fun.
to talk about it and be like, oh yeah, this is real. This is happening.
It's happening.
The world's gonna start again, and we're gonna do cool things.
Yes. Okay. So everyone, run to Kickstarter, and we will be. This is we're still in a hiatus. We're going back into hibernation, and so you won't hear from us until the fall.
Unless you're on our Facebook, which you'll talk
Um,
to me every day then.
Yeah. Let's be real. We are very present. But until next time, folks. Do you want to say our sign off? We do a sign off, and it is stay spooky, motherfuckers.
If you're comfortable
If you're
saying
comfortable,
that.
if you don't
Yeah.
want to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Some
Yeah.
people
our mom will be fine with it, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. Cool.
Ready?
Yeah.
On 3.
1, 2, 3.
Stay spooky, motherfuckers.
beautiful.
Yes. Perfect.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Prasad.